What's happening, bro?
How are you?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. I just want to just touch back on the conversation about when I was at the casting call for BMF, right? Now, Fifth, he didn't say it like he didn't say it as Fifth. He said it as Curtis. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, the ladies that was from Stars that was there that was sitting at the panel, right? They stood up after I was done. Hey, now that's how you audition. You know what I mean? Came in there, I was confident, and just nailed it. So after I walked off, I noticed that he kind of like, his eyes followed me. You know what I'm saying? And he came up behind us. He came up because it was inside of like a nightclub, right? And I went over and stood at the bar. He came right over there. You know what I mean? And he was like, "Oh man," he's like, "I loved it." And he looked. He's like, "You from Detroit?" Because we got a mutual friend that was out there with me. I said, "Yeah," and he said, "You know what?" He's like, "You got the look." He's like, "Just tone up a little bit." He was like, "For TV purposes." He's like, "Because I can see you looking, younger." So I said, "Okay, no problem." You know what I'm saying? And we clapped it up and took a picture. And he was like, "Man, make sure you post it and tag me and add me." He even commented on the picture. You know what I mean? So that was cool. So I didn't take it as, like, "Oh, I need to do this," right? But me and Tef he had been pouring into me prior to this, and he even told me, he said, "Bro, you have the talent, but I want to see you in a different light." He was like, "Part of that is your look, right? Because you're going to put yourself into a box if you don't, kind of like, shy away from just being the big bro, the big guy." Because I'm 6'4", like 6'3", 6'4", and at the time I was 270 pounds, so I looked at like a bodyguard. You know what I mean? Not saying that I couldn't have played anything else. It was just more of a chance for me to uh, show my range and maybe get put under, move from a bodyguard maybe to a pastor or something, which I did like after that, since I've been, I came down in size or whatever. So I just took that as, something that I'm like, and then I wanted to be healthy, so I took it
Yeah,
in stride.
it's funny that obviously that's always good advice, but the only thing I would say is that also we are at a time where, like I was saying earlier, no matter what you look like, no matter where you are physically, there is work out there for you. Now, that being said, that being said, only you can really define your brand, right?
Hmm.
And so it's really more about you. And maybe 50 was tapping into this and seeing this in you and the way you approach the work, or your talent, or the way you acted or whatever. But it's about you're the only one that can really go, this is my brand. This is what I want. This is what I'm after. And I'm going to craft this. And this is what I'm going to then display to the universe here. And maybe what 50, who's obviously got an eye for this stuff, is that maybe what he was seeing is like, hey man, this is who you want to be, and this is where you're headed. You're just not there yet. And so maybe he was just kind of, putting a little wind in your sails to be like, hey, you want this? You can have this, but get after it, right?
Well, I think retrospect with that point, Shane, as well is where when you're stepping into, and I can only say this from a black performer standpoint. In our business, there's over 100,000, basically over 10,000 registered actors in the Screen Actors Guild. 4% are African American that are actually working. And when you step into the industry, you are, as a black performer, even just a black man in life, you are sometimes portrayed in three sets of stereotypes: athlete, criminal, or drug dealer. That's the narrative. And when you're trying to, what I always say is that, like, you can eat, or even say, even rapper per se, throw that as the fourth mix. If you are trying to have longevity, where I look at for certain actors, and it's like I gave them that advice was, you're in this, as you said, we're in this big sea of performers. But what's going to make you stand out from everybody else? Because he could come in looking a certain way, but when you, as you said, if you remember when you first started acting, same one with me, you walk into a room and the casting director goes, "Okay, come to this audition," and you think it's just me until you show the fuck up there, and then you realize there's 100,000 black guys, 100,000 white guys that all look like you were there for the same part. What separates you from them? And that to me is where, if you're able to show a different layer, where they come in and they see you, because remember, before you even open your mouth, even with social media, they see you. They haven't heard you, they just see you. And that perception of them is like, okay, well, this is what this guy is. But if you're able to show either a different layer in your look, or even if your look doesn't suit the part, the role, for them, you may not nail that audition on that one, but it leads them to say, okay, you know what? He may not be the right guy for this project, because of, they might find someone better suited, has more experience, but it leaves an impact. And I always look at, you know what? Auditions, as you say, should always be auditions towards either the potential project that you want to get, or a potential project that you didn't get. It leaves an impact.
Yeah, it's got, Richard calls it winning the room rather than winning the audition. It's like, just if you win the room, then you can't lose, right? Because you've made a fan. But I'll say in line with that, I totally get your point about, you're talking about stereotypes and generalizations, and we all are up against that for different reasons, different versions of it. But it's funny, before you've established yourself as a name, the first thing that you're up against is your casting. Like, once you've hit it, and once you're out there and everybody like goes, "Oh my God, I know who this is, so and so," and you're a household name, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
What fuck you want?
And they'll go like, "Yeah, so sure, here you go." But until you've kind of like reached near that threshold, they're gonna go like, "Oh, I see you in this box," and that's unfortunately just kind of, for the most part, a reality of our industry. And can you change people's minds? Absolutely. Is there a slim margin on that? Yeah. I mean, for the most part, it's kind of like the 90210 thing, right? Where they've cast the people that look a certain way to play a certain part. And these are the preppies, and these are the, jocks, and these are the drug dealers, and these are the, the criminals, and these are the cops, these are the robbers. It's like that. It's pretty basic. And it gets more exciting the further we get into the business, because the deeper you get into the business, the more you can kind of take your casting stereotype and put it aside, and then kind of play a little bit more, and you have a little bit more wiggle room, because then people will go, "Oh shit,
But that's also up to the performer, though, because as you know, a lot of performers, once they get in that specific casting, they stay comfortable there, because they're like, you know what? If I try something else,
some people never move out of it.
Yeah, because they want to just keep working. And to me, I'm always like, if again, like that's fine and dandy, but I've always left the point where, like, you have to leave an impact. You have to leave somebody, like nobody else could play Cooper Sax.
No,
other than Shane Johnson. Period. There's nobody. I could go down a whole Rolodex of actors, and there's nobody that, because as you said, when you came on that show, you took the wheelhouse and you made it your own. Like, you made it your own wheelhouse. But no one else can do you. No one else can do me. Nobody else can do him. But I think people have to understand, it's like, again, like, it's either you're going to stay comfortable saying, okay, like when you look at, for example, Steve Urkel, Jaleel White, he'll always be Steve Urkel. Like, no matter what he does, he will always be Steve Urkel. And a lot of times people think that like when you're on a popular show, and I think you can attest to this, Shane, when you're on a popular show and that show ends, people automatically just assume in the acting business, oh, he's just going to get work again because he was popular on that show. And it's like, no, they want you to go the fuck away for a while, because if people just know you as Cooper Saxe, they don't know you as anything else, then when they get you on another show, they're expecting Cooper Saxe. It's the same thing Kiefer Sutherland went through on 24. When he jumped over to Touch, people were still expecting Jack Bauer. That's why the fucking show tanked in a year, because it was like, we don't want this, you know, mellow Kiefer. We want the action Jack. We want the badass. So that to me is where I say, like, when you're able to create, and I think the beauty, as I said, of like, that's why I asked you, like, what did you learn and take from the actors that you work with on the show? Because I think if you're not being pushed as an actor every time you're in a scene, then you just become stale in that scene. You become stale as an actor, where that you become that actor forever. Like, you're always going to be known as Cooper Saxe. But for me, I know that, like, if people who haven't seen, you know, that other movie that we talked about that you're in, they'll be blown away. Like, if you guys think Shane Johnson is good as Cooper Saxe, go and see that movie, because you will be blown the fuck away. To me, it's Oscar level. Like 100%, like the performance is Oscar level worthy. But I want to take in another couple of questions.
Tell me your name before you bounce.
King Wesley.
That's your name, King Wesley.
Yeah, King Wesley.
Man,
King.
I love it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and you know what? It's definitely, my mom, she told me this whole story about it. But I told her, Mom, I said, you know what? You know, you put a lot of pressure on me, right? Because none of my friends can have a broke homeboy named King, right? Everything that I have to do, it has to be exceptional, right? But I take it as it's definitely just my name is just a challenge. You know what I mean? Just to step it up every time, every chance.
It's no surprise that you're wearing a Superman shirt too.
It's no surprise.
Everything is next level. I love it.
Everything, man. Look, I ain't gonna take up too much more of your time. I just wanted to jump on here real quick, rap with you guys. Just let me touch on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
You made the point about what was it? I think it was like the diversity. But I talked to Anita Gibson. You know that does you guys makeup. Yeah, like she's like a big sister to me. You know what I mean? So she man, she was dropping so many nuggets on me back in 2019, and even still today. And just she pushes me. You know what I'm saying? She's one of my mentors in the game as well. So I'm definitely I'm going to see you guys. I'm going to see you sooner than later. You know,
come out, man. Come out. You got to come out to either New York, but come out to LA. You got to come hang with your sister, and you know, come out there and and hang with us. Meet everybody. Have you met Richard and everybody?
I haven't met Richard. Nia, when I talked to Nia, she told me about everything that's going on out there, and she's like, bro, whenever you out
here, get your ass out there. Get your ass out there, because you know Detroit is badass, but Detroit has limited opportunities. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Granted, I know everything's virtual right now, but you're going to have limited opportunities in Detroit.
But you know what I say about limited opportunities, Shane? Because people always, I mean, I think even for me, as I told you, I started off in a real redneck part of town with being the only black guy. I always say that when people sit there and say to me all the time in the business of like, you know, I've always wanted to be an actor, I always wanted to be a musician, I always wanted to be, you know, whatever, but, you know, I'm in this shitty town where I'm from, there's no opportunity. And I'm like, look, when you're in a town that you say there's no opportunity, I'm like, that's the best town to be in, because you have no competition. You can carve your own path, and whatever you do it first. But you just got to make sure that, are you willing to do the work? And this is the problem that I have with people, is that they're always looking at the other side, the grass on the other side, the cars, the money, the fame, the success. And I'm like, all that shit's nice, and it's great when you achieve it. But understand, you have to put your own story, because what Shane Johnson's story to success is not going to be your story. What my story to success is not going to be your story. You got to figure out your own blueprint, plant your seed, and just like when you're, putting flour and, water into a flower, you got to sit back and you got to watch it grow. And I've always said, like, being in the industry now, and it's funny that we're talking about power, being a drug organization show. I tell clients when I'm teaching them, especially now when I say, do you want to be an actor or do you want to be a brand? Because if you want to be an actor, then you're just going to be looking for work and hoping for work and praying for work. But when you're a brand, understand it's about your name. It's not even about your talent. It's about your name first. They're only, when someone Googles, you're not Googling a picture of Shane Johnson. They're Googling your name. And I look at it this way, is that you've got to treat the business like a drug deal. You being the drug, you're the drug. And then your manager or your brand manager, they're the drug dealer. They're taking your product, being you, putting you on the street corner and saying, okay, because the myth that everyone has when they want to come out to LA, the old school ways. If I move to LA and I get an agent, I'm gonna be famous. How many times have you heard that, Shane, in your career? I moved to LA, I'm gonna be. And remember, you said when you came out, you thought you were gonna be a big deal, and it doesn't work that way because you have the reality check of what actually happens in Hollywood. And I say this to any other actor, inspiring actor who's watching this live: treat yourself like a drug. Find yourself a drug dealer, which is a brand manager or a manager, somebody that can create your identity, create your presence. Then once you have the drug being you, it's now sitting back and saying, okay, where can I find my runners? Whether it's a publicist, whether it's a team of people that just believe in you. Then you plant your seeds like a corner boys, like a drug dealer. So your first corner is going to be maybe action. Your next corner is maybe going to be comedy. Your next corner is going to be maybe drama. And then you sit back like a dealer would, like an American Gangster. You never saw Denzel's face in the beginning. You only saw his street runners. And they're like, what's this blue magic shit? That could be what, say, for example, Shane's more known for action. That's the thing you put out there. Doesn't mean it's going to be the thing that sticks, but it's the thing that's going to get people going, I like this fucking shit. I like this guy.
Yeah,
and then yeah.
The only thing I would say, man, is that like with King here, it's the difference, like that's true kind of across the board as like a baseline. I say with King, he's somebody who has hooks into the industry, who knows people, whose sister's out there like really, really crafting her brand, right? And she's made some. I don't know if you Teflon, if you know like Nia, but she's really, over the last year, I would say she's really kind of honed her brand and found her voice. And so I'd say for King, like the only thing I would say is that, as much as I will also say on one turn, I'll say you can do this shit from anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world now because of technology, etc. It would do him a huge service to go out and be present to, first of all, the first thing you're doing when you do that is you're telling yourself, I'm fucking worth it. And I'm committing my ass to doing this. It's not a hobby.
Thank you.
It's not like a sort of something that might happen. It's like, I'm fucking committing to doing this.
Okay.
And so by actually taking the commitment of spending the money, getting on the train or getting on the plane and going out and just kind of going, all right, here I go. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen 100%, but I know that I'm going to figure this shit out once I get there. And you're going to hit the ground running because you already know people, and you already know that you have this incredible community that's just waiting for you. So again, this is no disservice to Detroit, but it's like, for me, I'm from Washington State, a little farm town. You can only fucking do so much. You know, you can only do so much. Now, granted, like I said earlier, I could have literally lived anywhere in the country for the last
Mm-hmm.
decade because I've been living in Los Angeles. Hey, shut up. My phone's talking to me. Um, I've been living in Los Angeles and working in Brooklyn, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like that's the good problems. That's the like get to work, and the work may take you, as you know, to Canada or to Florida or to New York or to Detroit, you know, or to Chicago or Los Angeles, wherever. But put yourself in the way.
Once
Put
again, you got to
yourself
invest in
in the
yourself,
way.
bro. You have to
Yeah.
Yeah.
invest in you because if you don't invest in if you don't invest in yourself, you can't expect other people to invest in you. Period. That's just the game.
Right.
Like, and a lot of times people, as I said, they have this fear of investing in themselves, this fear of failure, this fear of coming out to Los Angeles and not making it. I'm like, the only failure is if you don't try.
Yeah.
You don't
Man,
try, you failed.
You know what
if
I
you're at the
did?
end of your life and you look back at your life and you go and you're sitting in the rocking chair on your porch and you think back about your life, this you're not going to regret the risks. You're not going to regret putting yourself out there. You're not going to regret any of that shit. The only thing that you regret is the shit that you didn't go after,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And since this whole COVID, because things just began to open back up out west, you know,
Sure.
right before all that was jumping off, I was
Mm-hmm.
that was the move. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
here's a couple things that, like I said, there's no excuses, but here's a couple things in the positive that's happened since then, right? I've actually gained management with Apollo Talent Management. Susan Barr, she's my manager. She's actually out west now. You know what I mean? So she's opened her doors up for me. So I got to come out there. Like I said, I'll be out there next month. Well, actually,
I love
probably
it.
more towards the end of this month to take care of some things because things that she wants me to touch up on. You know, she wants me to shoot with her photographer as well because, you know, I dropped all that weight. But you're absolutely right. You have to take the chance. You have to take if this is your passion, if this is what you really have, you know what I mean? Don't give yourself
Well, and
an
clearly it
excuse.
is, man. Clearly it is for you. I mean, you didn't like have 50 whisper something to you and then you take this big action and commit to dropping weight and to putting yourself into a different casting category just to hang out,
Nah, nah.
right? Like this is you seeing the future and going like, all right, I'm gonna take this advice and run with it. And so put yourself in harm's way. That's the only way you're gonna win. And man, and like I said, you're in a golden position too because you have this whole community and your sister that's already kind of like traveled this road. It's not like you're showing up and just like, you know, landing in the middle, jumping off a bus and going, now what do I do? Like you have a whole path laid out in front of you.
Hmm. And it's not to mention that Kirkland Morris, another writer for Force, like me and him are Facebook friends, and he tells me certain things. He's, you know, I actually have a Zoom set up where I'm doing a state of the industry address. You know, about how things have changed since COVID.
So
Like the
you're
stuff,
hooked in.
yeah, like the things
So
have.
you're hooked in, man. That's all you need. You're hooked in enough that there's no reason that you shouldn't like make some big like rattle your own cage, right? Rattle your own cage, and change your life. Um, otherwise, we just kind of like keep the status quo, and then a year passes and another year passes, and we're still making plans. We're
Right.
still making plans. It's like fuck that, man.
Nobody gives a shit about your intentions, bro. They care about your
Yeah,
actions. Period. But
yeah.
let's take another caller in here.
Good talking to you,
Appreciate.
brother.
Wes, good talking to you, bro.
Yep, yep.
I'll take another caller, guys. If you want to come in and ask Shane a question here, industry related question, fan question, send a request in right now and I will bring you into the room. Don't forget, guys, you can check us out each and every Sunday. Sunday service hosted by your man DTeflon on the MIC. You can follow me at DTeflon. You can also follow Shane Johnson. Also, you can check us out if you missed this entire podcast. You can watch the upcoming episode coming up airing in 2 weeks. at HotTopicsCelebTV.com each and every Tuesday. Join us for Hot Topics After Dark, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time as well. Let's take another question. Okay, guys, if you have a question, please send in a request. I will connect you into the live. Let's see here. Guys, you got to hit that button if you want to jump in on the live here. It's saying where people can't. We have to log out again and log back in.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Something's up with this.
Hold on a second. Okay, we'll log them quickly back in, and then I'll let you go after. We'll log back in, and then we'll log